Books on Books on the Brain.
Welcome back to Books on the Brain, a podcast of books and nonsense. I'm Deirdre,
I'm Danielle.
and we are back with a new episode. How's it going?
Good. Good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to think of what updates I have to give. Oh my God. So yesterday I went to
Yeah.
this symposium with
Yes.
my grad school. I took this class when I was there. It's a class where you learn how to do symposium and present a paper, put on a symposium, like all of it is done by the students. And I hadn't been to one since mine, so I was really intrigued to go. I
Yeah.
get there, and the chair of the program comes over to me and is like, "So I need to introduce you to one of our students. They used your master's thesis as a reference in their thesis." And I was like, "What? What do you mean? What do you mean?" And they came over and the chair was like, "I want to introduce you." And they were like, "I know who you are." I was like,
Like that's crazy.
what? Um, and they're like, "Yeah, I used your thesis as a reference, but also as like the groundwork for how to talk about cross-dressing in history, like in a historical
Oh,
context." Um, so I was like, "Wait, you didn't just use like a quote, you used my framework."
so cool.
Which is so great. Like I never thought somebody would say that to me.
No, of
And I love my master's thesis. I'm
course.
still doing research on it 3 years later. This is like how long have I been doing research on this since 2022?
Yeah.
Um and I just like have a feeling that some of this is going to be like my life's work, which feels kind of crazy to say, but I feel so special to like have somebody be like, "I see your research and your content and I resonate with it and I also think it's important."
Yes.
I was like, I almost cried.
Yeah.
So that was
They're
really
like,
cool.
don't cry in front of this guy. Don't cry in front of this other person. No
No, for
crying.
real.
No crying.
I was like, so
Well,
that was fun.
that's very exciting. That is very,
Um,
very, very cool. A cool
like
little
the coolest thing that happened to me this week.
hey, and that should be something. That should be something that is really exciting. What do I have to? What updates do I have to share? Still working my butt off. I know, like, I feel like every episode, I'm like, we're gonna do an episode where we talk about kind of what's been going on in our lives.
I know.
I'm sick, also, by the way. I'm so sorry if you hear it. It's like the remnants, the last like few little tickles in my chest. One of
Mhm.
my students is so sick, but I love her so much. And she gives me the sweetest, sweetest hugs. And she gives me the sweetest, sweetest kisses on the cheek. And I'm just sick always because I can't say no. I'm like, yes, I love you too, girl. Come here. Um, but I work in a special ed classroom, a complex needs classroom. Um, so our week was kind of chill. Our week was chill. We spoiler alert for something I'm talking about later in this episode, but we're in a phase right now with a certain book and a certain author. So we've been
Oh.
reading a lot of a certain book and a certain author who I love because all of the books or most of the books that I read from this author have like a little song in it.
Aw.
And they're good songs. You go online and people have like made like I don't know if you are familiar with this as a non-teaching human being, but there's a huge side of YouTube where people will just make videos of them reading storybooks so teachers can play it in their
Oh.
classroom,
Oh, cool.
um, which is awesome because sometimes they also animate it, which is nice because
Mhm.
it gives a little some extra,
Yeah.
especially for my kiddos who can't sit. Like if I read a book, they're like, "Shut up," and I'm like, "I get it, girl, I get it." But there's this one guy on YouTube who does Pete the Cat stories, and
Hmm.
his songs go hard. We play them in the classroom, and all of me and my other like adult staff are like they go so hard. Um, And so I feel like my week has just been like so good because every chance I get, I'm like, did he cry? Goodness, no. He kept on stepping and singing his song. I love Pete the Cat. Anyway, that's my joyful.
Oh.
We've been peeing the cat. We've been peeing the cat. It's been pretty sweet. I'm really excited because we're going to start a zoo unit for the end
Ooh.
of the year. We're going to do a little zoo unit. We're going to talk about who's who in the zoo. We're gonna talk about like mammals and different types of animals, and then we're gonna make our own zoo exhibits. I'm pretty
That's so
excited.
cute. What was that book? Mr. Magoo buys a zoo?
Oh, does he have a song in it that
I
goes
don't know.
hard? Kind of a requirement now.
Sorry. I don't know.
It's got to have it's got to have a rhyming pattern. It's got to have a cool beat. It's kind of a whole thing now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. I don't know. That just came way out of the recesses of
It's
my.
okay. I've never heard of Mr. Magoo. I've heard of the Wonder Emporium, Mr. Maybe that was a movie.
Hold on. I'm gonna Google.
Yeah,
Let's
maybe
see.
there's a movie. Um, in other news, while you're looking this up, I've been deep, deep, deep in a Stardew Valley renaissance.
Hmm.
And I'm in love and playing Stardew Valley. It's so fun. I have a little I play it on I play it with mods, which basically means any of the parts of the game I don't like, I don't have to do, which is my preferred way of playing games.
Hmm.
So like anyone who knows Stardew Valley knows the fishing mini game sucks, but it's just awful, and I'm really bad at it. So
Hmm.
there's a mod where you don't have to do it, and now I'm like the best fisher in the game. I'm killing the game because I don't have to do nothing. It's so good. And my farm, I named it Hot Girl Farm. So every time, like in your third year of basically the game works, there's 4 seasons, which is what we have also in Earth.
Okay.
4 seasons, and there's 28 days in every season, and you inherit your grandfather's farm because he's like, if you ever get bored of the capitalist, whatever, come and have this farm.
Hmm.
So you go and you start building this farm from scratch, whatever. It's awesome. And then at the beginning of your third year of owning the farm, your grandfather's ghost comes to visit you and rates your farm on a scale of 4 flames. So
Whoa.
my grandpa came just recently, gave me 4 candles out of 4 candles. So we killing it. We killing the game.
Amazing.
And it's named Hot Girl Farm. So this like old ethereal grandpa ghost who died in what can only be like a Charles Dickens like Christmas Carol like nightgown with the hat, like
Right.
crazy. He's like, you've made such a good path for hot girl farms, and like it just it's so stupid because and it just makes me laugh.
I love.
I love hot girl farms.
Okay, so I think I have conflated three different pieces of
Oh
media
God. Okay.
into one. So there's the Dr. Seuss book, If I Ran a Zoo. Then there's Mr. Magoo, who I actually don't think I know anything about, but it was like a TV show. It looks like. And it looks like there's Mr. Magoo in the zoo.
Who
And
is Mr. Magoo?
I don't know.
Oh,
It's like an animated thing.
huh. Okay.
And then there's the 2011 movie We Bought a Zoo.
Okay, because yeah, I know we bought a zoo.
Yeah.
And then I know the one where they buy the zoo during World War II.
Oh.
I hope I'm not conflating two things.
Are you thinking of Water for Elephants?
No, because I know that's a musical now.
It is. It is.
Um, no, there was. Oh God, now I gotta Google it. Okay, you talk more. I'm gonna Google this while we're
I was
Tuesday.
gonna say, have you seen the RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars cast announcement?
For season 10.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Thoughts?
Lydia B. Collins. Girl, you just got off. What is going
I
on?
I don't think you should be able to go on All Stars until you've spent one, if not two seasons out of the cycle.
Yes, agreed.
Because there was an interview where she said she was only out of the competition for like 5 days, and then she had to turn around for All Stars.
Well, and it's like, how did you evolve your drag, right? Like, again, as someone who's not a drag queen, does not live in that space, but like as a obsessed viewer, how did you evolve? How did you step up your drag, girl?
Well,
Within
also like mentally, I don't really think it's great for you to be in one competition setting and then back to back
yeah,
with no breathing room, not like a couple months
yeah,
or even a month or two. Like not saying
yeah,
like 5 or 6 months.
yeah.
Just like be a person.
Especially like, and maybe this is a hot take, but I'm like, especially someone who gets pretty far.
Hmm.
I'm like, if it's someone who's like a Vanjie, right, where it's like you're first out,
Yeah,
you didn't get to see much, then I'm like,
that's
okay,
different.
okay, girl, down you go. Um,
For
the
anybody that's
zookeeper's
only
wife,
listening to us,
the zookeeper's wife,
Danielle's cat just jumped off her shoulder.
just jump shift. The zookeeper's wife is the World War II zoo.
Oh,
That one is very sad.
I believe it.
Um,
But yes, I think somebody like a Vanjie,
yes,
um,
where you got to show so little, so like actually there's more to show. But I'm like, Lydia was what, fifth, top five,
yeah,
top
5 or 6.
5 or 6. Um,
Spoiler,
yeah,
I
sorry
guess.
guys. By the time this comes out, it's gonna be like a year after.
I know.
There'll be 10 other Drag Race seasons out.
Brutal.
Um, girl, oh girl. All right, throwing it to me.
So Danielle is going to tell us what this episode is about. We're going to just time to jump in.
Time to jump in because my cats are on a timer of how long I have until they start fighting. So,
I see.
okay. Both Georgia and I had like a kind of important birthday this past year. We both turned 30,
30.
30 and flirty and pretty and gorgeous. So I pitched this idea of like what were 30 influential books from different ages of your life. And influential doesn't mean they have to be good. They're just impactful for you
Yeah.
at a certain age. And some of them might have little stories of like why or like how they're relevant. Some of them are just like der. Like
Mhm.
I'm sure Hunger Games is going to show up on both of our lists. Um, spoiler alert. But it's yeah, just looking back on 30 books for our 30 years of 30 things, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, flirty,
30, 30.
30 books.
And it's 30 books total. So we're not going to
Yeah.
sit here and I'm going to tell you 30 books and Danielle is going to tell you 30 books and we're going to walk away with 60 books. It is 15 and 15 and
Yes.
then I'm to 30.
Yes.
So how did you go about sorting yours?
Um, I think I did a similar thing that you did, where did I did my like decades. I did like books I did in my 10 and unders,
Mm-hmm.
my 20 and unders, and my 30s and unders. But the 30 and unders is actually was really hard because it feels like I've had many eras in my 20s.
Me too.
I was like, okay, this is kind of crazy. Um, but that's kind of what felt the most diplomatic.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I did childhood, teens, and my 20s.
Amazing. Perfect. Okay.
Do you want to kick us off with the first one?
Yeah, sure. Okay. My first we'll do childhood, I guess. We'll do
Yeah.
chronological. Okay, gorgeous. Uh, my first one is a book I read in school. So we read it as a class. It's called How to Eat Fried Worms by Thomas Rockwell. Have you ever read this book?
No.
Okay, so it's about this kid. Uh, I think it's a movie too, but it's about this kid who he gets um he gets given a dare to eat worms for like I think it's for a month or it's for an absurdly long amount of time that someone should be eating worms,
Mm-hmm.
but they never say how he can eat them. So then they start like trying to make them palatable. So they like fry them, they like put them in things. But this book is just about this kid eating worms. But I remember I think it was grade 3. We must have read it grade 2 or grade 3. Um, and it was one of those first like communal, like everyone was like, that's so gross. Having this collective reaction to a book and the class being so engaged that it was like, please let's read more of this gross little fried green little fried worms book by Thomas Rockwell. So that's my first one.
Wow.
What's your first
I'm
one?
excited for us to figure out what our childhood reading was like and how similar or different it was.
Uh-oh.
Because I don't know if you found this as you were making your list, but when I
Yeah.
looked at my five that I picked for my childhood, I was
Yeah.
like, everything that I read now makes so much sense.
I did not find that with mine.
I'm like, I have a type, clearly. Um, so my first one is The Tale of Despero by Kate
Yeah.
Pillow.
Yes.
I vividly remember my dad reading my brother and I this book when we were little. My brother and I used to share a room when we were kids.
Yep.
And my dad read us a lot of books. But I vividly remember The Tale of Despero. We would do like 1 to 2 chapters a night, kind of depending on when each of us would fall asleep. And my dad was, he's still alive.
Yep.
My dad, when we were kids, was a really great storyteller because he
Yeah.
would think of all these like voices to do, and he just made it so immersive. And I feel like my dad really made me the reader that I am. Like he made me want to
Mm.
immerse myself in stories. And so for anybody that doesn't know about The Tale of Desperate, it is now a movie, which I actually haven't seen.
Oh, I haven't seen that
So
one.
I think my goal for the summer is to reread The Tale of Desperate because I have never reread it. The only time I have read it was when my dad read it to me.
Yep.
And that was 25 years ago.
Hey.
When did the book come out? Wait, 2003? So yeah, the almost 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm excited. So for anybody that doesn't know about Despero, Despero is a mouse, and his name is Despero Tilling, and he loves music, stories, and a princess named P. And he lives in this castle, and it's all about his like journey in this castle. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, there might be multiple POVs in this
Okay.
book, which feels like a really big ask for like a children's chapter book. Um, but I remember being able to visualize like this very small mouse
Yeah.
like running around this castle and the adventures he was getting up to. And um yeah, it was just like this wonderful little fantasy story.
So fun.
That's my first one.
So fun. Um, my next one was Junie B. Jones and the Yucky Blucky Fruitcake.
Mm.
Um,
I never read a Junie B. Jones book.
that's crazy to me, dude, because
I know.
I I read so many Junie B. Jones books. And I this is probably when I was like kindergarten, grade one ish.
Okay.
Because that like she's in kindergarten and she's in grade one, I think, or she's in first grade. I can't remember. First grade and second grade. But in the story, but she in Junie B. Jones is just iconic. Like she's just like she calls her teacher Miss, which is so slay. She has all these friends who are not really her friends. They're just like frenemies or people that she has to like. She's just like a rude little girl, and I just love her. And like she gets into crap a lot, but in Judy B. Jones and Yucky Blucky Fruitcake, uh, the school has a cakewalk, which when I was younger, I imagined people were actually walking on the cakes, but that's not actually how it happens. Um, but it's like you walk on dots or something, and then you get to choose a cake from a pile. Everyone brings a cake, and then you get to pick one.
Mm.
Junie B. Jones wins the cakewalk, so she gets first choice of cake, and she's like, okay. Lucille, who's her friend,
Okay.
had just gotten these delicious looking cupcakes with sprinkles, and she's like, I hate that girl. Just kidding. She's my best friend. Love her. I'm going to choose what I think is the most expensive looking cake. So she picks a cake that is wrapped all the way in aluminum foil. Uh, and it's a fruit cake. And she hates it. And that is the Yucky Blucky fruitcake. Her being like the injustices of the world. I won first place, but I got the worst cake because I was greedy. Like it's just honestly, there's not a lot of lessons in those books, and it doesn't really like. If I was a when I'm a parent. I don't know if I would like want my kids reading a book where like the main character is just kind of snotty and mean and like doesn't really learn her lesson often. But
Mhm.
like as a reader, I was like, go girl, go queen. Love you. Love this for you. Uh
Oh,
yeah, yucky bucky fruitcake. The stupid smelly um bus is my second pick. That one it's
okay.
she hates going on the bus, so she just stays after school and they have to like call the cops. It's just so it's just so funny. It's just so funny. I love Junie B. Jones, and the B stands for B. But C is for Beatrice, but I like just B.
Yeah.
Love Junie.
I can't believe I never read a Junie B. Jones book.
They are like anytime don't tell the police this. Every time I see a Junie B. Jones book in a little free library, I will take it for my personal collection for my classroom. So
No, I love that.
I'm like, these are relics of the past. My collection got tossed, devastated by my
Oh,
mom's ex-boyfriend. We hate him. Hate to see it. He got rid of all of my childhood books,
oh
including my
yeah.
copy of
He
Breaking Dawn.
deserves warm pillows
He
only.
deserves jail time.
Yeah.
Maybe the death sentence. I don't know. Um, crazy. That's my inner Junie showing. I think Junie would want him to have the death sentence.
I agree.
Um,
I don't
but
even know her.
yeah, every time I see one, I collect because there's like 1,000 of them and they're so good.
Yeah.
And they made a musical of it and it's great.
They did?
Of course they did. Every child book property has been made into a musical.
That's true.
Uh, but it's wonderful. So anyway, that's my second pick, Junie B. Jones and the Yucky Bucky Fruit Cake.
Right. Ding. My next one is called Molly Moon's Incredible Book of Hypnotism. I don't
Never
know
heard
if
of it.
you've heard of it.
No,
It's by Georgia Bing, and the cover has like this little blue pug with like spiral hypnosis eyes.
crazy.
I loved these books. I remember getting these books from my library. I remember rereading them over and over and over and over again. I was obsessed with
Yeah,
Molly. Molly is an orphan, and she one
classic
day,
YA novel.
I know, and she ends up at the library one day,
Okay.
and then she like goes on a little adventure in the library. She ends up in the restricted section, and she finds a book on hypnotism that's been placed in the wrong place, and then she steals it from the library, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah,
And then it's all about like this person that is looking for this book and her
yeah,
like becoming a hypnotist in her own way and like the toils and tribulations and like um just tomfoolery that happens with like a child having a book of hypnotism.
yeah.
And I just in my like looking up this book again for the first time in so long, it was made into a movie in 2015.
Oh,
Um, let's see. It's was directed by Christopher Rowley. Georgia is credited as one of the writers, which I think is really awesome.
yes.
Uh, Rafe Cassidy was Molly. Leslie Manville, who looks so familiar, but I actually can't
Is she
place
from George in the
her
Jungle?
in my mind. No, she is Mrs. Harris, and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. That's what I recognize her
I've
from.
never
I
seen.
don't think she's from George of the Jungle. I'm scrolling down to try and see. She was in Maleficent,
What's her name? Leslie.
Manville.
Oh, Leslie Mann was
Yeah.
in George in the Jungle.
Oh,
You could understand
I can. I can.
understand
Uh,
where that happened.
Joan Collins. Joan Collins is in Molly Moon,
Okay,
which
perfect.
tickles me so much. So I will be rereading this book and then subsequently finding this movie.
So fun.
I think this summer is just gonna be me rereading childhood books, which I think is so fun.
You have to.
I just like have this cover in my mind. Like I really just remember picking up all these books. It's a 6 book series, but I think there's one or two like half books like
Yeah.
um in there. So on Goodreads it's saying it's a 7 book series. Um and yeah, it came out in 2002. Georgia's from the UK. So I don't know how I found this book. Like I don't know how
Yeah.
I came across it. I don't know if I've ever met anybody else that has read it as a kid. So if you have, let me know because
Yeah.
I was obsessed.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. We knew
Oh,
we
yeah.
knew I was gonna say it. I've talked about it many times on this podcast. That was my first, like, I'm read book 1 through 13 and like, let me go get me this from Costco when it comes out. And it tells a story of, much in the tradition of the early 2000 YA era, three orphans.
How many books about orphans?
Where are their parents? Uh,
We had an obsession with orphans.
I feel like, because like you look at Disney, they're all orphans. If you look at like it it's hard. Like, uh, imagine being a parent and being like, all of the content my child consumes, the
The
parents
parents are
are
dead.
dead. That's crazy. And then me being like, well, I actually don't need parents because XYZ person did not have parents and they turned out
It's
fine.
right here.
It's in the parent, baby. That's so funny. Um, but it's about three orphans whose parents are very rich and they die and they get passed off through the series to different guardians who, in the first book we meet Count Olaf, who becomes the villain in the series, who wants to have the orphans money, and then we slowly start to realize that there's more going on. There's secret societies, there's past lovers and friendships that like start to deteriorate the story, and like it's a very complex story actually, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like, thinking back on it as an adult, I'm like, that there was a lot of layers to this story, where it was like, this is the layer you see, this is the layer that actually is going on, and this is like the secret layer that you didn't know until the very end of this book, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, all of these things, blah 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 blah.
When you think about how many children's books we had access to that made us intellectual readers.
Literally though, like, it's so different, and it's not better or worse than what it is now, it's just different. But I
Yeah.
remember, like, the first time I read a Lemony Snicket book, because there's, if you've ever read any of the series of Unfortunate Events books, you know there's kind of this like meta commentary where like Lemony
Yeah.
will be writing like almost like a diary entry, like he's talking directly to the reader, and then it'll go into the story. But even that convention in itself, of you being like, okay, I understand that I am a character in this book now as the reader, and that I have a proximity to this story. Um, it's just really fun storytelling. It's really,
Yeah.
really fun. Um, the ending of the book, I don't know how I feel about it, but I feel
The
like
whole
it,
series.
yeah.
I never finished it.
Oh my gosh, dude. Spoiler, it ends. The last book is called The End, and it surely does end. It surely does end. The last book uh ends up with, I'll just give you the setting, but it ends up with the orphans washing up on this deserted island with Count Olaf, and the last book is just them on this deserted island. Um,
Yeah, add that to the list of series I'm gonna read this summer.
it's this is my tale of despair. Like, I've reread the first few books a couple times, but really I'd only read each book once, especially
Mm.
the further in the series, because I was kind of aging out of them
Yeah.
as they were coming out, but still trying to read them. Um, so I would love to go back and read them. I've gone back and read the first three as read alouds in some of the classrooms I've taught in,
Hmm.
because they're great stories to read to kids. Like, they're a little spooky,
Hmm.
they're high tension,
Yeah.
gives you a lot of things to think about. Anyway, I think they're really fun books. And if you've not seen the Netflix series, and here's the thing, the movie with Jim Carrey and Meryl Streep, and like, I think Gary Oldman was in it. That one's fine. But if you've not seen the Neil Patrick Harris adaptation, where they do the whole, I think they do all the way up to book 9.
I
Um,
haven't seen it.
dude, you have to watch it. It
I
is
know. I
so
think I'm gonna read the books and then
good.
watch it
It is
because I loved the movie.
the
The
movie's great. It's just
and
not like
they fumbled the ball so bad not continuing
they
because
did.
I actually think when I watched it, I remember being like, why did they combine the first three books into one movie? Like it really is jarring as somebody that likes original source material,
Yes.
but as an adaptation, it makes a lot of sense to condense it and do
Yeah.
three,
Yeah,
two,
12. Well,
whatever.
13.
So really they could have done 3, 6, 9, 12,
And then
and
the
then
last
the
one.
final movie.
Yeah.
Um, but they would have had to do so much planning that came after that movie came out. Like thinking about, I hate to say it, the Harry Potter movies and how they planned to
Yes.
keep all those kids and
Yeah.
do all those movies. And then same with Hunger Games, like
Yeah.
these people that are going to age quickly
Yeah.
and we have to actively think about what that's going to look like filming. I don't know if they ever planned on making more movies, but I really am so sad that they hadn't already like had them lined up ready to go.
And because I think it would have been successful, and it wasn't for lack of it being not successful, because it was successful.
Right.
At least it,
I can't remember if when that first movie came out, if all the books were out because I don't think they were.
I don't think that, so that's part of it too, right? Where then you're like in the George R. R. Martin part of the world where you're like, are we waiting
Right.
on you? Are you going to wait for
Mhm.
us? Um, but the Neil Patrick Harris adaptation on Netflix is delightful because every book, it's not their own episode. I think I can't remember. I watched it when it came out, but every book gets its time to shine. Nothing's condensed into like
Oh, nice.
um and you get to see more of the story. You get to see like the the triplets who are just the two, like the triplets become the like love interest for some of the characters, but like you get to see these characters that we have in the book that we've never seen adaptations
Mhm.
of. It's delightful. Carmelita Spatz, uh I don't know if you know of her. Carmelita Spatz is in the fourth book.
No, I never finished the
She
fourth book.
is a little tap dancing. She's like a Shirley Temple. She's got like curls, tap dancing, and she calls the orphans cake sniffers. Uh, I love Carmelita Spatz so much.
You've got a thing with cakes.
I've got a thing with cakes. I got a thing with little girls with an attitude.
Yeah.
Carmelita Spatz was such a formative character for me. I was like, I love this girl. I love her drama. I love that she doesn't take anyone's crap. She's awful. She's a bully, but I love Carmelita Spatz. But for a while, Carmelita Spatz was my icon on Netflix. I go through and I give my family all themed ones. I'm like, this, I think you're this. I think you're this. And I was like, I'm Carmelita Spatz.
Mm,
So anyway, series of unfortunate events. Go watch the Neil Patrick Harris adaptation on Netflix. It's really, really, really good.
I will. Wow, glowing review.
It is. And kids like
As
it too.
we're
It's like this beautiful renaissance. Sorry, I have to talk a little bit more, but
No,
it's
please.
like this beautiful renaissance of a book that I loved in my childhood, where now kids, as I'm an adult teaching them, love it too, right? Like,
Yeah.
um,
And at least for right now, a series where we are happy to pass it on.
yeah, I don't know. I'm,
I'm gonna hold my breath because my faith has wavered in humanity.
yeah.
Um, but it is
That's what,
at least in the moment, feel
yeah.
really fine
That's what was
passing.
hard for this childhood. I was like, what can I talk about that that I
No,
actually
for
feel
real.
comfortable endorsing?
For real.
Anyway, you go next one.
Next. Um, my next one is a series. It was three books, Bras
Okay,
and Broomsticks by Sarah Milnowski. No?
never heard of it.
Wow. Okay. So this is it's called the Magic in Manhattan series.
Okay,
I remember a friend of mine in school, she was like the grade above me. She really liked Bras and Broomsticks. She was like, I think you should read this book. It's really good. And
yeah,
I can't remember if she let me borrow it or if I got it from the library. And one, I can't remember if I actually took this book to school, but if I did, it only solidifies that my Catholic school teachers let me get away with bringing the wildest books to school because this cover, it says Bras and Broomsticks, and on the B has like a big curve over it. There's a
yeah.
bra hanging off of it.
Love.
And it is a young adult series,
Yeah,
right? So it's about this girl named Rachel, and I think she's either in high school or she's going into high school.
Yeah.
And she has an itty bitty secret that she is a witch. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, the first book, she's like coming into her magic. I don't think she really has it quite under control.
Yeah.
Um, and I distinctly remember she's like trying to join the cheerleading squad, but there's like a ton of mean girls that don't like her. She's kind of a misfit. And then the like jockey high school man love interest. She's like
Yeah.
obsessed with him. And then the second book is Summer Camp.
So fun.
I'm trying to see if I can find the name of it. I'm trying to remember. They all were like a play on um like clothing and
Yeah.
stuff. Sorry, Goodreads is being a little annoying. She's from Canada,
Oh my
Sarah.
God. Hey. Hey, girl.
Um, hey girl. Uh, let's see, this will be easier. Magic and series.
Do.
Oh, okay. So it was bras and broomsticks, spells and sleeping bags.
Fun.
And she went to a sleepaway camp. And who was at the sleepaway camp? Her crush. I think that was my favorite book. I reread the second book so many times because the villain is so good and the magic is so good. And I don't want to give it away because the twist at the end, it's it is true. It still holds up. It's incredible. And then the third book is called Parties and Potions, and they're like back at school, they're dating, and it's like just a really fun, witchy high school series. Like I loved Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah.
This was right up my alley.
Fun. I've never heard
I
of this.
know.
It's so fun.
I remember rereading these books like crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's always like one book in the series that you're like, this is, and that's in my teen years. I go into my,
Mm,
this is my one book in the series that I will reread.
yeah.
Um, okay. I'm gonna rapid fire through the next two because I talked about them, or I'm gonna wrap for my next two, but we'll still interlock them.
Hmm.
The Giver by Lois Lowry. I've talked about The Giver. The Giver is a book I read for school. We read it as a class. Um, it's I would be surprised if you hadn't read The Giver in school. A lot of schools read it. It's just really, really fun, and it's really interesting. It has a really cool premise about a boy named Jonas who lives in a dystopian society where you get told your job when you reach a certain age, and he gets given the job of the Giver, where he uh, gets to have all of the collective memories of humanity, and it's crazy. It's like, yeah, it's a great book. It's part of a series that I've never read the rest of the books. I've just ever
Oh
read
wow.
one. That's that.
That's that.
That's that.
My next one, shocker, is a series. I
Well,
was a big series person when I
sure.
was a kid. I loved a series. This is The Tale of Emily Winsnap. No? Still
Nope.
no.
Nope.
Okay. We're
Nope.
learning so much about each other. So this is by Liz Kessler, and Tail is spelled Tail because
Classic.
Emily is a mermaid.
Crazy. Okay.
And it's she's 12, so we're getting into the like later YA, but I remember reading these when I was pretty young,
Yeah.
like early middle school, I want to say.
Yeah.
Um, and it's have you watched The 13th Year, the Disney Channel original movie?
Yes, I have.
So it's very that where like she doesn't really know that she's a mermaid.
Yeah.
Um, but then she starts taking swimming lessons and she starts to find out that like her father that she's never met has maybe uh influenced her biology.
Okay. Crazy.
And she goes on all these adventures as a mermaid, like going to an undersea school for mermaids. And
Well,
I just remember it being so, I just read the word enchanting in this synopsis and it felt that way. Like I remember just being so immersed. Like obviously, I think everybody can tell by looking at me, and I've said it a million times, like I'm a mermaid girl. I love mermaid books. I have yet to find mermaid books as an adult that do for me what this book and like other Disney things
yes.
did for me as a kid,
Yes.
which I think is really disappointing.
Someone get
Uh,
on it.
for real. So that's the tale of Emily Winsnap.
Oh my God, amazing. Um, okay, because I have a longer list. So I'm trying to pick. So I think um I will I will say Garfield, the Garfield comics, specifically the Fat Pack, where it's three comic books in one.
Okay.
I loved comics as a kid, and I feel like I've kind of lost that love as an adult. Like I loved comics, and then I loved anime and manga in my teen years, and like as an adult, so I will read graphic novels every now and then. But like I had such a love for comics as a kid. Calvin and Hobbes, Garfield, everything. Far Side, I loved reading comics. So yeah, the Garfield again. Garfield is a sassy little. I know Garfield's not a girl, but he's a sassy little girl
Yes.
who hates Mondays and is sarcastic and mean and rude, and I loved it. I was like, this is everything I'm not. I think that's why I love these characters because
Mm,
I'm a very polite, very calm, very respectful person, but getting to read these characters where I'm like, oh my God, you guys get to do this thing. That's crazy. Um, I think is really fun. And yeah, Garfield, I think I've told the story in the podcast, so I'll tell it quickly. But in my library growing up at my school, you had to read so many chapter books to be allowed to take out comic books. Um,
oh,
so you, it was gate kept as like they wanted. It's a little backwards thinking, but they were of the school of thought. And again, this is the early 2000s where reading comics and reading graphic novels is not reading. It's you need to read first and then you get to read the fun thing versus like the fun thing is reading. So let people read what they want to read. But I remember grinding my butt every day so that I could, when I got to the library, I could take out comic books. I could take out Garfield's. And I still have my Garfield Fat Pack on my shelf. I've carted around the country with me. I haven't
oh,
opened it in years, but like um I've read those books so many times. I love them so dearly. And they're just three panel comics. Like they're just that's it. But I'm like, love Garfield. Love him.
love that.
That's that.
That's that. Okay, so my last one for childhood, and then I do have a couple honorable mentions that I'll just say the titles of. We don't have to get into, but
I have
like
one honorable mention. I'm so glad you said that.
I feel like my childhood really was just filled with so much good reading. Like I
Mhm.
so much of what people still read today and what became like pop
Right.
culture film canon came from our childhood.
Yeah.
So, so my last one is The Click by Lizzie Harrison.
Love the click.
I wasn't sure if I was gonna put this in, but I was like, I was obsessed. I was obsessed with these books. I read them with my best friend Allie. We are still friends. We've been friends since second grade.
Yeah.
And I remember we were obsessed. I was obsessed with the idea of Massey Block's room. So Massey Block is like the antagonist of the series, kind of ish.
But
Yeah.
also the protagonist. Like it's so
Like
strange.
she's both.
Yeah.
And she had an all white room.
Yes.
And I remember telling my mom, I was like, I want to have like an all white room with pops of color.
So fun.
Like that's what I wanted. She did not let me do that, which I
She's
think
like,
is what drove
you're
me.
8. Nice
I think
try.
that is what drove me to asking for a purple room when I was in high school
Yeah.
when we repainted it from the ballet themed room that I had as a kid. Um, but I was obsessed. So for anybody that doesn't know the lore of the clique, I'll be surprised. But it follows this girl, who
Claire.
Claire, whose parents have to move her, and she ends up, I think, in the guest house
Yeah.
of Massey Block's family. They're like family friends of her parents. And Claire is not well off, but she ends up in this town where everybody is really wealthy, and she's going to the same school as Massey. And these were the kind of kids where they like had their parents' credit cards memorized. Their parents were like really big business people or like fashion designers, and all of that like the seedy part of richness was like bleeding down into their kids. But it also really touched on the like perils of being a young adult. Like I remember really resonating with Dylan, who was the like overweight
Yeah.
fat girl,
Yeah.
um, who I distinctly remember. I think it was Massey helped her cut out the size of a larger like pair of jeans and sew it into the smaller pair, or like they changed the
Yeah.
size label so that her mom wouldn't freak out about the size of jean that she was wearing, but so that her jeans could be comfortable.
Oh my God.
Like, breaks your freaking heart. And I remember feeling so like I see myself in so many of these girls. Like they just, even though it was so hyper,
Yeah.
everything was at a vast scale in these books, I still felt like they were real people.
Yes.
You know? And it was just like I I loved it. I ate it up. I loved the movie. I was obsessed with the movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the end of my childhood reading career before I like got into the twilight of it all.
Yeah, it's like here's the elephant in the room. We're
Yeah,
going into our dystopian vampire eras now in our teen
exactly.
years.
Exactly. I will say my honorable mentions
Yes.
do have to go to Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
Obsessed. I was obsessed. I remember going to the bookstore the day that the last book in that original series came out. That is
Yeah.
how old I am, which feels wild. And that was the point where my brother and I could no longer share the series. We each had to have our own Last Olympian
Yes.
book because we were freaking out.
Because
Uh,
that's what you needed. That's so funny.
and I will say the Spiderwick Chronicles. I don't know how many people actually read those books. My brother and I loved them.
Okay.
Again, like I clearly was a very fantasy forward
Yeah.
child in my reading, so
Yes. Good for
unsurprising
you.
that I've continued that in my life.
Good for you. My honorable mention is the I Spy books.
Ah,
I
yeah,
loved I Spy books.
yes,
Um, and that was like in school we would do silent reading, and if you
us too.
were a kiss ass, you would get to do it with a buddy. So you
Mhm.
would grab an I Spy book, and then you would race and try to find the eyes being spied. Um, yeah, so I think this tells me as a child, I loved being read to. I loved being read to. I loved reading that didn't really seem like reading. And I loved orphans. Hey.
Yeah, loved The Orphans.
Okay, teens.
Do you want me to kick it off?
Yes, go.
So this is actually like a series. It's an unconnected series of books. So it's a string of books by the same author,
Yeah.
and that author is Eva Ibbotson.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and see if I can pull up as many of them as possible. So there's A Company of Swans, A Countess Below Stairs, The Reluctant Heiress, The Morning Gift, and A Song for Summer. And these are all romance books. And I don't know, one, how I got into them.
Yeah.
They definitely were above my reading, not my reading comprehension, because I very much understood what I was reading,
Oh, sure.
but very much became my like North Star of I love romance.
So sweet.
I'm watching my roommate's parents' dog. Uh, he,
Aw.
he just came to say hello. Uh, so I'll talk about A Company of Swans because
Yes.
talking about all of them is too much, and you can kind of get the idea of like each of these books.
Yeah.
So Harriet is the main character in A Company of Swans. She wants to be a ballerina, and she basically ends up running away with a ballet company, and they go to the Amazon. And they end up in this town,
Yeah.
and there's this kind of like wealthy donor person,
Yeah.
and she starts falling in love with him. And he kind of starts falling in love with her. But then there's a little bit of hijinks where somebody is after Harriet,
Yeah.
and he ends up like stealing her away from the ballet.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole slew of like hijinks. Like, where is Harriet? Where do her allegiances lie? The
Yeah.
end of the book is basically her like being committed by her dad and her being saved by the love of her life.
Crazy.
And it's like I distinctly remember this. There's a scene after she's been saved by her lover
Yeah.
where she's in his bedroom, and she in her mind she knows that this isn't going to last forever. She knows that someone is coming to get her and that this has just been like a fun fantasy time. So she
Yeah.
starts memorizing everything in the room. She starts memorizing the pattern on the carpet and how the dresser's arranged and how the canopy looks above the bed. And then when she is locked away, she starts to remember those like sequences of things. Um, and it just felt so, I think that was like such a great entrance into romance for me. One, because I don't remember it being that graphic. It
Yeah.
was kind of that like vibey
Yeah.
graphicness where
Yeah.
there's like illusions, but it's not closed door. So it was like enough for me when I was in high school where I
Yeah.
wasn't like, whoa, what am I reading?
Ooh.
But I was like, oh, I'm like blushing. This is so fun. And so some of the other books, like The Countess Below Stairs, is a Russian countess
Ooh.
who is fleeing. And so she ends up working for a British house, and nobody knows her secret that she is actually royalty and she's working as a servant.
Whoa.
And then there's a World War II one. There's so much. And they all feel different. Like they all have their own plot lines, but they
Yeah.
also all have these like wavy
Yes.
like you can kind of see how each of these couples mimic each other and mirror each other
Totally.
in certain ways. Um and I loved it. I reread all those books. Company of Swans and A Countess Below Stairs are my two favorites.
Okay.
I reread them so many times.
So cool. I've never heard of these. So
Yeah.
fun.
I would reread them for sure.
Yeah, this is so fun. Um, okay. I could truly choose five vampire books, and that would probably be all I would need to talk about for my teens, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to not choose five vampire books, and we'll go from there. But I will choose a vampire book to start with. I have to talk about the Vampire Academy series by Michelle Mead. I've talked
Oh,
about it before on this podcast. They're all sitting here on my bookshelf, right next to the Addie LaRue. Um, I love these books. This was a book series that I was put onto by um, a friend. I thought she was the coolest girl. She had a cell phone. She had like a texting plan. She could go on the internet on her phone. It was a flip phone. And I was like, she is the coolest person.
whoa.
She was like, I'm reading this series. And I was like, give it to me. Um, so I started reading this Vampire Academy series. And it's basically this fantasy world, much like ours, but slightly different, where there are like royal vampires who have elemental powers, and then there are Dampiers, which are like half vampire, half humans. Then there are humans, and then there are Sturgoi, who are like the royal vampires who have killed people, so then they turn evil. They're like the villains of the series. And the Vampire Academy books are very much about political intrigue. It's very much about this like bloodline, these royal vampires, who's ruling, who's in charge, who's betraying the crown, all these things. But at the core of it, it follows this protagonist named Rose, who is a Dampier, who doesn't really know who her dad is. Her mom is a very famous Dampier, and who she goes to this academy. At the beginning of the book, she's actually have her and her best friend Lisa have uh, run away from the academy, so they're living on their own in the real world, and they get caught and brought back to the academy, and they're like, "You need to stay," because she's the last of her bloodline. And Rose and Lisa are connected. They are shadow kissed, so they can like sense each other. There's some weird bond between them that nobody really knows what's going on. And then there's this magic, then there's this political intrigue, and then there's this romance. The romance between Rose and Dimitri, who is her adult teacher, who she falls in love with, which is, very 2010-ish
Yeah.
vibes, early 2000 ish. But specifically, there's two books I want to talk about. There's one scene in the second book called Frostbite, which is the book where they go to a ski resort thing for like, I think it's winter break. They go. I honestly can't remember because I've never reread the whole book. I just reread one scene. Um,
I do
basically,
that too.
oh yeah, I'm like, this is the scene I'm going back to read. I'm not.
Yeah.
And so I always think about them as scenes, not as chapters, because I'm like, it's just parts of the chapter. It's just the
Yeah.
scene that I want to reread. Um, but Rose basically, the Dampiers, when you kill the bad vampires, you get tattoos on the back of your neck. So this is a story of how Rose got her first tattoos before she was even like graduated, which is very unheard of because she's the chosen one, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it's this very graphic scene where she takes this sword off the wall and like decapitates this like, and it's very graphic because the boy that she was kind of like who had a huge crush on her and she was like, well, maybe I could love you, is killed right in front of her. And then she is trying to get these people to escape the building. So she's killing these people. Um, and yeah, it's just like this, it's her doing it. And then it's like the classic, like she keeps going and she's like in trance. And then Dimitri's like, stop, stop. You have to stop. It's too much. And then it's the fallout of that. And then her getting her tattoos, whatever. And then the fourth book, which is my favorite in the series, is called Blood Promise. And uh-oh, Dimitri gets turned into a Sturgoy. He gets turned into a bat vampire. And Rose is upset, obviously. So Rose goes, okay, I'm dropping out of school. I'm going to Russia, which is where Dimitri's from, to try to find him because he's been like leaving her notes being like, don't try to find me. I'm evil now, whatever, whatever. So she goes and she ends up going to his village where he was like, he grew up and meets his family and his sisters. And then eventually runs into him and he like keeps her. And he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna, we can be evil. Like, you can, whatever. Um, but there's so much pining in this book, and uh, there's so much pining, and there's like just a little bit of like you would never see it in YA nowadays, but there's just a little something something that I remember being like red face, like oh my gosh, they're kissing and her shirt's off, crazy. Um, but then at the end of the book, spoiler alert, she kills him, or does she? Dun-dun-dun-dun, waiting for the next book. It's a great series.
I should
Um,
read it.
it's a great series, and then there's a whole spin-off series between basically an alchemist and her being in love with a vampire too. It's I think they're really fun. I don't think they've aged particularly well, but I think the things that we can look past, we've looked past. And then they made it into a TV series, which I never watched. They had a movie, and then they made it into a TV series, and I
Oh,
didn't watch it. But maybe I should. I don't know. I'll get back to you all.
yeah. I have to say, my like vampire uh time in high school was reserved for Twilight.
Fair,
Like I didn't venture into anything else. I got swept up in dystopian and romance very quickly.
fair. I made a pit stop and we didn't leave for a very long time.
Fair enough. I feel like it went two ways. I feel like either you got really deep into the vampire stuff that was happening in the 2010s,
Yeah,
or you didn't.
yeah,
It was either or.
yeah. And
You didn't just like dabble and like do a couple. You had one
yeah,
or you had all of them.
literally. Literally.
Okay, so my next one might also be on your list. And it is The Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is on my
Yeah.
list.
I feel like obviously I don't really need to talk about it that much. I remember a friend of mine gave me the original The Hunger Games book for
Yeah.
my birthday, and I didn't read it for a really long time. It was sitting on my shelf, sitting on my shelf. I knew the movie was coming out, and then we had a massive, I think it might have been Hurricane Sandy. I can't remember. We had a really, really bad storm that took out our power for
Yeah.
like a week. And I remember, I know I told this story recently. Like we had there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
It was our power was off.
Yeah.
The two things you could do were play board games or read a book. That was it. Those were your options.
Yeah.
And so I pulled out the book that had been sitting on my shelf for months and I gave it a go. I did not stop reading it. And like, you know, when you have a power outage and it's like the lights going down, 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 and then you have to turn on the flashlights.
Yeah.
I had the flashlight because our couch that I was sitting on had like a really nice corner where I could like curl up into
Yeah.
it. And so I had the flashlight wedged in my shoulder and my neck and the back of the couch,
Yeah.
like a spotlight, so that I could keep reading
So
until the wee hours of the morning. And I it took me days to finish it. Like I think I finished it in a day and a half.
Yeah.
And then we had no power, so we were like, let's go to Barnes and Noble because it's the only place nearby where we can hang out for a little bit and
See
be
people.
in
Yeah.
a place where my dad can charge his phone
Yeah.
and like eat food that's not like just cooked on our stovetop,
Yeah.
um, or the grill.
Yeah.
And we ended up buying, I think I might have bought the second and the third book, or I might have waited to get the third book. I can't remember. But from that
Yeah.
point, it took me 3 weeks to finish the whole series. I just blasted my way through it, and I have been a Hunger Games girl ever since.
Yes.
I don't know if I've told people this on the podcast. I'm gonna reread it, but I have never reread Mockingjay.
Neither have I.
Um,
No want
it
to.
made me so angry
I know.
that when I was going through, I like before I came on Book Talk, like right at it might have been right at the beginning of the pandemic or right before the pandemic happened, I did an overhaul of the physical books I owned at the time.
Yeah.
I got rid of my copy of Mockingjay.
Good.
So I now only own Hunger Games and Catching Fire, but it was a first edition.
That's so funny.
And I think this haunts me. This has haunted me for the last 5 years. I was like, I was so out of my mind. And I was so sure that this was the decision that I wanted to make.
Well, of
And then
course.
my frontal lobe closed.
And then I grew 2 years and was like, oh wait.
And I have to say, you should not be able to make serious decisions until that frontal lobe is closed.
And that's fair, dude.
Because my God, I was like, why did I do that? I know why. Like that book made me so upset.
It's an awful book.
It felt so, it felt like a betrayal.
It it was at the
And I
time.
couldn't stand to look at it anymore.
No. And honestly, I think through the years, like I will rewatch all the movies usually once or twice a year,
Wow.
back to back to back because I just like them. Um, I've started to like the story of Mockingjay more as I've gotten older. I feel like there's an appreciation that when I was a teen, I was like,
I
what?
think if I reread it now, I would have a very different
Yeah.
experience.
But I also hated Mockingjay and what's that one from Divergent, the last one, Allegiant.
I never read
Those will go down as two of the worst books I've ever read.
Yeah, so that's Hunger
Crazy.
Games.
Um, I will count that as mine because I also Hunger Games.
Great.
So I will say a different one. Um, okay. How to Be a Woman by Caitlin Moran. This is something I talked about very early on in the podcast quite a bit. It's still on my shelf. I still have it. But it's basically like it's a nonfiction book about this woman named Caitlin being like, here's all the things of how to be a woman. And it's a very raw, it's a very like in her voice. It was a book that was recommended to me, I think when I was 18 or 19. I just moved out for the first time and a friend was like, you should read this. And I was like, yes. I like, yes, I am a woman of a certain age. Like I get to start taking accountability of, oh my God, my cat just tried to jump on me and put all of her claws in me and fell. Ow. She doesn't like women. And that's crazy because you are a woman, girl. Um, but it's about, I
Do
think
you
it's,
need a second?
no, it's fine. I have to keep talking. But it's, yeah, just basically like a celebration, but also like a grieving of what it means to be a woman and the highlights, the lowlights, the things in between. And for me, it was like the first time I was like, oh, this is like my body. I get to make choices. I don't have to like adhere to things I was taught growing up or like try to please my parents. Like I can be my own person. And that book was a huge part of that revelation for me. So um yeah, I that was another book that I had told a lot of like my older sister. I had her read it because I like it's a book that at the time I was like all of the people in my circle, you should read this
Yeah.
kind of book.
Cool. Fun.
What do you got, kid?
So I have The Life of Pi by Jan Martel.
Okay, classic.
Have you read it?
I've actually never read Life of Fire.
I would go back and reread it.
I've never seen the movie either.
I haven't seen the movie, and I did not see the show when it was on Broadway.
I saw clips. Looks beautiful.
Looked beautiful for sure. Um, I remember, I think it was sophomore year in high school,
Yeah.
we were put into these like book clubs
Okay.
and in our English class,
Yeah.
and we had to pick two books out. I remember we had to go into the library, we had to go to the computers and do a search in the system, and we
Yeah.
had to agree on two books to read together, and then we had to present them to the class after we finished them.
Yeah.
So we picked Life of Pi. Maybe it was only one book now that I'm thinking about it. I can't remember. Anyway, for sure, Life of Pi
Yeah.
was one of the ones we picked. And this book follows Pi, who is a boy traveling across the Pacific Ocean. There's a shipwreck, and he ends up on a very small boat with a tiger.
Yes.
And it's about their relationship on this boat, how they are going to survive. And the things that happen in this book have been lost to me in the many, many years it's been since I read this book. But the overall feeling of when I read this book
Yeah.
is still in my mind. Like, I can still clearly visualize how I visualized this kid on this boat in the middle of the ocean. And it is a wonder that I went on to work for a cruise ship company.
And that's the biggest like I can't do water. That is
Fair.
spooky, dude.
It is spooky. It is spooky.
Spooky. I feel like a classic though. Like
Yeah.
that was another. I think a lot of people read The Life of Pi in school. I
Hmm.
think both my sisters actually read it, but I never read it in school. So I would like to read that one day.
Yeah.
But I don't. What if it's just like the idea of being trapped in a boat in the middle of the ocean and there's no like it's too
Yeah.
much. But then also the stakes are so high. How nice is that?
So high.
Stakes are high. Um. Okay. The Host by Stephanie Meyer. This is gonna be my Stephanie Meyer because Twilight, obviously, I don't need to mention.
Yeah, I left Twilight out because I was like, that just
Sure.
duh.
Like there. Twilight
That's
was
the honorable mention.
Twilight was my sun, my moon, and my stars. Like embarrassingly so, specifically New Moon, but only the part when they were in Italy.
I was Eclipse.
See, I
That was
love
that
Eclipse.
was my North Star in
Didn't
that
love
series.
Eclipse. Mine was like the last fourth New Moon when they were in Italy, and that's it. Um, Host by Stephanie Meyer. You guys know. I don't need to say it. It it changed me. I don't know why, and it's so embarrassing now knowing where my life has led me to, and like to know like how much of her as a person I do not agree with as a person now. Something about that book. She put something in that book that I don't know,
Yeah.
but it stays with me to this day. Um, it's aliens. It's kind of Mormonism. It's like, and it was another one where I was like, blush, they're kissing. Because Twilight like famously does not have like Twilight is dry lands until Breaking Dawn, and then it's like closed door. This was like she was like they're kissing, and it's like a hot summer fire, and I was like, and it's like it's all moody, so it's not even like describing it, but I was like, oh my gosh, girl, I get it. Uh, I The Host is crazy, but it was such a formative book for me. But it was crazy.
Amazing.
That's it, man. That's it.
I'm going back into dystopian.
Okay, go.
We're staying there, I guess, with the
Right.
host. With the Matched series by Ali Condi. It had a little bit of a resurgence on Book Talk
It's the
at the
bubble
beginning.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
at the beginning of 2020 because it was the 10-year anniversary in 2020. Um, I actually don't remember what happens in this series, but I remember being so obsessed that I dragged my mom to Barnes& and Noble so we
Yeah.
could get the following books in the series, and I know I read them.
Yeah.
The main concept for the first book is our main character Cassie is going to her matching ceremony
Okay.
because obviously everything is about people being in relationships, heteronormative relationships.
Whereas
And
God
there's like
intended.
a matching screen,
Yeah.
and the person that you're going to be matched with shows up on the screen. And she is matched with her best friend, which is great. That's fine. But then another face flashes across the screen,
What?
and it's not her best friend.
Love triangle.
And then it goes black. And like, are there forces that be that are keeping them apart? Who is her true match?
That's
What is
crazy.
happening in the political climate?
Yeah, what why?
And I couldn't tell you because I forgot everything that happens in this series. Which I think does defeat the purpose of this whole thing, but I
Yes.
remember this book. It's somewhere in my parents' house. I still have
Yeah.
it. Um, I should still have it, I think. And it came out in 2010.
It's beautiful.
It was the time of dystopia.
That is beautiful. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Okay. I'm gonna talk about the last book I read in high school.
Mm,
It's called Truth in Bright Water by I think it's Thomas King. Let me double check. Yes, Thomas King. So Truth in Bright Water is it was a book that wasn't actually on our syllabus. It was we were got into reading groups and it was like we could pick a book and people picked usually things that were on the curriculum, but we chose a book that had curricular themes rather
mm,
than being one on part of the curriculum, which ended up coming back to bite me in the butt because I wrote my grade 12, my English 30 diploma essay on Truth and Bright Water, which I was allowed to do, but none of the markers had read it. So they were like, okay. So
mm.
I ended up not doing super well on my English 30 diploma, but it doesn't matter because we made it through anyway. But it's a
Amazing.
story of this young boy, his dog, and his like grandpa. And it takes place at the US Canada border. Truth
Okay.
is a US town. Brightwater is a indigenous reserve. And it's the story of this boy who spends his time kind of it's this coming of age story of a young indigenous man of I am living one side of my life and then the other. And then it's also this has a whole through line of magical realism
Mhm.
of these magical things are happening to do with his indigeneity, but also are maybe just spirituality. Like it's a very interesting book. I remember it was the first book that don't tell my English teachers, but I actually went back and like annotated multiple times because you know in high school they're like you need to read a book 3 or 4 times to really understand it, and I was like, yeah, right. I'm gonna
Mm.
read it once,
Yeah.
but that one I actually did. Like I went back and I we annotated it, we read it as a group, and I remember having such great discussions about it. Um, yeah, and it was the last book that I read in high school, and man, it was better than Great Gatsby. So take that as a win.
Love that. My last one is like I can't remember if I read it senior year of high school or freshman year of college, genuinely.
Okay.
Um, but I'm looping it into my teen years, and that is Outlander by Miss
Okay.
Anna Gabaldon. Um, I feel like this I should have tapped into that this would be my like you like historical romance. Um, for anybody that maybe has not heard of the worldwide phenomenon that is Outlander,
Yeah.
it takes place, it starts in 1945.
Yes.
Claire, she is with her husband. World War II has just ended. They've gone to Scotland to reconnect because he was a soldier in the war. She was a nurse. There's been a
Yes.
lot of trauma. And there's like this figure kind of haunting her on the street, and she's a little confused. And then one day she ends up at this stone circle,
Yeah.
and she's really, really drawn to this stone circle.
Mm.
And then one night she goes back, she touches the stone, and the next thing she knows, she's on the ground in her nightgown. There are British soldiers around her in like old-timey gear.
Yes.
And then she gets rescued by a group of Scottish men. And thus begins her adventures with Jamie and his
Mm.
clan. And figuring out this like history of her husband's family and she's trying to figure out like, is she actually meant to be in the past? Like maybe her whole life was leading her to this moment and she wasn't actually meant to be in the future. Um, and it is fascinating. uh, I have only read the first two books in the series. I have
Okay.
watched 5 seasons of the show.
I'm
Um,
somewhere around there too.
and I remember loving the first book so much. I really was fine with how much violence there was.
And sexual assault, man.
Sexual assault. And it really like spoke to something in me. I don't know. I was like, I love Claire and Jamie. I'm obsessed with Jamie. I love him so much.
Me too.
And yeah, I can thank my best friend Allie's mom for getting me onto it.
Lit.
She gave me her copy, her OG, like first or second edition of Outlander to read.
That is so sick.
And I wish I don't know if now I could get on board with reading the hundreds. It's like 8 books. But they're long. They're so long.
They're
So
so long.
we'll see if I will one day make it through all the Outlanders. But
Controversially, I feel like the TV show tells the story so well that I feel no urge to read the books.
yeah, fair. I think that's fair.
And also because the Jamie's so hot in the TV show that I'm like,
Sam, I
he's
love
so
him.
hot. He's so hot.
I love him.
Um, love that for you. Love that for you.
And that wraps up my teens.
Okay, there you go. My last one, controversially, is 50 Shades of Grey. Um,
Uh,
this was one, and like I think I read when I was 19 or 20. Like it could be either, but I put it in my teens because I remember it. I remember being too young to read those books, so I assume I was a teenager. Um, I didn't. It was the first time I bought a book from the romance section that I was like big eyes, like walking up to the front, being like, um, and I bought it by myself. Usually, I would get my mom to like buy my books because I was a kid and I was like, you can pay for it. I bought these books on my own because I didn't want my mom knowing I bought them. And they're not good books, but they represent a liberation of readers. Of you can read
for sure.
whatever you want, even if it's bad. You can read whatever you want. Um, and they are bad. I had in past years gone back and tried to read them. They're poorly written. They are very poorly written. Um, but there's something about the phenomena and the craze of the 50 Shades of Grey and what it meant for romance readers and what doors it opened of like, hey, we can read things and we can talk about them and it's not like it's not awful and that people were doing, but it felt like on a bigger scale. Finally, people could maybe talk about romance in itself a little bit more. So
Yeah.
that was one of my teen books. My last one. Honorable mention, Cosmopolitan magazine.
Oh,
I read
yeah.
a lot of Cosmopolitan
I read a
magazine.
lot of Cosmo and I read a lot of 17
Okay, fair.
and Teen Vogue. I was a big
Teen
Teen
Vogue, Teen
girl.
Vogue for me, and Cosmo were my two
I was a big
loved.
Teen girl.
Okay, 20s. These ones I
Rounded it
feel
up.
like will have less maybe to say because they're all more recent.
And I've talked about all of these at length.
Same.
Would you like to go first?
Um, sure. The first one I would like to say is Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo and the Grisha trilogy, the Grisha series, the Grisha verse. Um, yeah, that book I feel like brought so many people into my life that I love so dearly. And it just was felt like part of my renaissance back into reading,
Hmm.
where I was like, oh, wait, I love these stories. Yeah, I just love Six of Crows.
Nice. My first one is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I
Classic
read it
Deja.
in college. I still have my first copy that I've bought. It's on my bookshelf. I love it. I plan on owning as many editions of that book as I can get my hands on,
Oh
and
yeah.
I don't care. That's like, it's my thing. I love it so much. I reread it once a year at least, and it's probably the book I have read the most in my adult life.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
obsessed.
Love, love. Um, I have Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Another one for me. I love the Beartown. A book about hockey. Being Canadian is a little touchy, but um, that book was beautiful. That book just feels like it doesn't even like it's just a feeling. It leaves me with a feeling, and I love when books do that. And I feel like it was the first book in a while that had left me with this feeling of like such despair, but then like hope, which was
Mhm.
wonderful. So I really really like Beartown.
Yeah. Then we have A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E.
Classic.
Schwab. I'll say the Shades of Magic series, but I do specifically want to say Darker Shade because that book, one, got me back into my love of reading
Yeah.
in like after college. And that book is the reason that I have a platform.
Hell
So,
yeah.
very, very special to me.
Hell yeah. Um, I have Book Lovers by Emily Henry.
Mm.
The Emily Henry books, I feel like, um, just kind of comment on my love of romance and what my love of romance looks like in my 20s and how different it looks than what it was in my teens. But I think any Emily Henry book could probably slot in there. But I really love Book Lovers.
My next one is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Mostly Talia Hibbert as an
Yeah.
author is in
Slay.
here. Um, she is the reason that I am the romance reader that I am.
Retweet. Retweeted. Um, I have The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. We know I love this book. This is, I think, also just like the perfect book to read in your 20s or even in your 30s. Like, it's a perfect book to read in this time period that we're in right now. Because it's just a snapshot of how amazing humankind is and how full of despair and awful it is. Um, it's just great. I'm still reading Everything is Tuberculosis because it's a little sadder because truly everything is tuberculosis and tuberculosis is still a little spooky. Um,
Yeah.
but The Anthropocene Reviewed is fab.
Love. My next one is Little Thieves by Margaret Owen.
Yes.
It is a series. The third one, The Holy Terrors, just came out. I'm waiting for it to come in on Libby, like a little gremlin. I feel like I could have talked about so many books,
Yeah.
right? Like, hello, we've been running this podcast for the back end of our 20s.
Yes.
And we've talked about how many books over the last 5 seasons. So I feel like if you go back and pick a episode, you'll hear a book that I could have put
Yeah.
into this episode. There's something really, really special about Little Thieves. It is a book about the goddaughter of Death and Fortune,
Mhm.
and she takes on the identity of a princess. She is a con artist, and she tries to pull one over on the wrong person and ends up with a curse. And her godmothers can't help her. She has to figure out how to get out of it herself. And there's a little bit of romance along the way. And then the rest of the series follows like what happens after what is next for her and her romance and it's a YA series but I shouldn't say but it's a YA series and it's amazing.
Yes.
I feel like the later my early 20s and my mid 20s was like me still really loving YA and YA
Yeah.
fantasy. Like 28 to 30 has been me really being very picky
Yes.
about
Agreed.
YA books. And
Agreed.
if a YA book can like weasel its way into my life, I know it's a good one.
Yes.
Only because I'm really drawn to adult fantasy. Like there's just no two ways about it. That just is what I'm drawn to now. So when I can find a YA fantasy that fills me with something, with wonder, with magic, with romance in a way that I don't feel like freaked out because I'm a 30-year-old reading about children,
I
uh,
know.
then I know it's something special.
Agreed. Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
My last one is All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. I feel like Mariana Zapata was my 20s. It's kind of beautiful because I feel like I needed her for my 20s, but I don't feel like I'm reaching to her so much in my 30s so far. Like I haven't reread any of her books. When I used to reread them um compulsively almost, but it's like I learned what I needed to learn from her books. I spent a beautiful couple years with her. And it doesn't it just feels like it's such a time capsule of a part of my life and a time that I was in, that I'm like I don't I happily will keep it in that moment. And if a book comes out that I'm like, oh, I want to reread, I feel like I could go back and visit it, but it feels so much like 28 through 29 and 30 was Mariana Zapata for me.
Yeah.
So love that girl.
Yeah. And my last one is The Dangerous Damsels by India Holton. This, I think I'm going to love this series for the rest of my life. There
Yeah.
is something so special about it. It brings together the two loves of my life, fantasy and historical romance,
Yep.
in such a beautiful way. Um, the Secret Service of Tea and Treason specifically,
Yeah.
but I love the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels also. Cecilia has such a special place in my heart. Like I love her. And I feel like this came, it's one of those books where like it comes around at the perfect time. You're like, I
Yeah.
don't know where I am in my reading journey. I don't really know what the next book I want to pick up is. And it has made me like ravenous for more books like this. I'm
Yeah.
like, where are they? Where are the fantasy historicals that are whimsical and fantastical and they don't
Yeah.
take themselves too seriously and everything is very tongue in cheek and yeah, love.
Love. Um, I have two honorable mentions.
Great.
One is Ice Planet Barbarians. I feel like it was such a moment. It was such a moment. Um, and I read a lot of them. I read a lot of them. I didn't particularly like any of them, but I read a lot of them. And then Pete the Cat and His Four Groovy Buttons by James Dean, which is
Oh,
what we've been reading in my classroom. My buttons, my four groovy buttons. Pete the Cat, who has four buttons, one pops off. Then you have to do simple math. Four minus one is three. He has three buttons. My button, my three groovy buttons, my two groovy buttons, one, zero buttons. What's Pete gonna do? He remembers he has his belly buttons. My button, still have my belly button is the end of the story. And then it's buttons come and buttons go. But do we cry? Goodness, no. We just
that's
keep on
so
singing our
cute.
song. My buttons. I love Pete the Cat. Anyway,
I
that's
love.
my 20s have also been a lot of children's books. Being a teacher, an elementary teacher, I read a lot of kids' books, which is delightful.
I love. My whoa.
Yep.
Honorable mentions are Priory of the Orange Tree. It felt really weird not including it, but I was like, I feel like I've talked about it so much, and there are a
Yep.
couple other books that I was like, these have really done a lot for the way my reading has
Yeah.
changed. But Priory, my God, that changed my life.
Yeah.
And the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin.
Yes.
That series quite literally broke my brain in the best way. Like
So
I
good.
never thought that somebody could create that kind of imagination. Like it is, yeah, I have no words.
So
So
good.
I read that series so long ago and I still have no words to describe it.
So good. But those are the best books.
I
Anyway,
know.
30 years with two old farts.
Yay. And because we haven't talked about enough books,
I know.
what are you
Can we
currently reading?
pause? Can I go pee pee really fast?
Yeah, yeah.
Since we haven't talked about your segue was beautiful and I had to go to the bathroom, so I had to pause us. Um, we have been talking a lot of books, but what have you been reading recently,
I'm
Misty?
just pulling. So last week I read a truly
Ooh,
delightful book. I'll hold it up so you
so
can see.
pretty.
So this is Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove.
Yeah,
And this is getting published through Bindery.
cool.
Yes, I am a Bindery tastemaker. There are going to be people that are like, you're just doing a plug. I'm not. Nobody asked me to talk about this book. I could have let this just go and not
Yeah,
talked about it.
yeah.
I truly loved this book. So this is being published through Jason's imprint, Easy Cat Press. And I am so proud of him for picking this book. I'm so proud of Barbara. I don't even know her.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is a triumph. This book comes out on June 3rd, so it'll be out by the time this episode comes out, which is
amazing.
clutch. I loved it. I literally couldn't put it down. I read it in 2.5 days, 3 days.
So good.
Um, it was the kind of book I don't usually read on the train these days anymore. One, because I like to have my wits about me, and two, my commutes are never usually that long. But I
Yeah,
had a kind of long commute this week, so I was like ravenous, like holding it in my hand leaving the house so that I didn't have to dig in my bag and waste time once I got on the subway.
So good.
Um, it is about a mainframe named Demeter. She
Okay.
is a spaceship's AI system, and her like priority objective is to get the ship from point A to point B and keep all the humans on board. And then within that, she has a couple other priority commands. And we are in Demeter's brain. And she is telling us everything that's going on around the ship. And like she's doing her little cargo hold checks and she's checking in on the captain. And she keeps getting this notification that like something's wrong. There's something wrong on board. There's something wrong. And she's like, but everything looks like all the math all looks right.
Yeah.
And then she checks the cameras and all of the humans that have been on board are dead.
Oh.
She doesn't know how long they've been dead for. She figures out that she was offline for a really long time
No,
and a
Demeter.
bunch of her data has been deleted. And she gets labeled as the ghost ship because just over 300 lives were lost on board. And she keeps getting bullied by some of the other spaceships. They keep like changing her name so that it'll mess up her systems. And
Nice.
she has a companion named Stewart, who is another AI system on board, and they are a medical AI.
Okay.
She doesn't really like care that much about Stewart because they're two different systems that just
Yeah.
like inhabit a ship.
Yeah.
But Stewart also gets roped into all of this. But like Stewart doesn't know everything that Demeter knows.
Got
So Demeter figures out through like looking at her camera footage that the thing that killed these people is Dracula. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I choked on my sickness. That is
Yeah. And the people that boarded the ship right after it docked, after the big bad,
yeah.
um, only saw a dog on the dock. So when people start taking down her data and she starts telling people, like her database starts saying what it was,
Yeah.
nobody believes her. They think that she's been corrupted. They think that there's something wrong with her. So
Hey.
she gets put into basically hibernation for a bunch of
No.
years.
No.
And then she's sent out on another mission. And she's like, we're gonna have a great mission back to Earth. We're gonna bring these people there safely. Nobody's gonna die.
Not a single person.
And then she hears screaming.
No.
And there is a like, please help me. I need assistance notification coming from the bridge. She turns on her cameras and there are two children running from something, trying to lock themselves in the bridge. And that something is a werewolf.
What is going on?
And for some reason, Demeter is a monster magnet. Monsters just want to be on board Demeter and they keep killing her passengers. And she is like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. And from the moment that she meets this werewolf
Yeah.
and these kids,
Yeah.
her objectives start to change internally. So like she still has her priority commands from the like larger mainframe and humans at work,
Sure.
but her objective is to kill Dracula.
So slay.
And she is ultimately able to start this mission when she has a werewolf, Frankenstein, a undead pharaoh, and another vampire on board. And how we get there is wild.
That is crazy.
It is so much fun. It felt a lot like A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but not as cozy. To me, it
Okay.
felt cozy
Yeah. Yeah.
because I am psycho and I like my cozy books to have violence in them.
Yes.
Um, so it was cozy to me. But I loved the combo of this sci-fi horror
So fun.
mashup.
Yes.
And we're in like 2424. We are many thousands of years into our future, or hundreds, I guess.
That's okay.
Um, but enough where like space travel is happening and we still have monsters wreaking havoc. And it was so good. So good,
That is so fun. What an interesting concept.
right?
Super interesting. I feel like I've not heard anything like this before. This is really interesting.
Oh, it reads so wonderfully because we're in Demeter's point of view for quite a while, but then we get these like interludes, like a small interlude from this person, and we get their point of view. So you go into a couple human points of view, you go into Steward's point of view, and I love a multi-POV book, but I
Yes.
think in this circumstance, when like Demeter is so logic forward and she
Yeah.
has like direct objectives that she needs to do, but then you can see her rewriting her code and like what she does to work around human commands,
Yes.
seeing the way another AI works and how the humans are like, how do I communicate with Demeter so that she does what I want her to do? Like, it's great.
So cool. So
Yeah.
cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Um, my current read is a book I actually read probably a month or 2 months ago. Deep
Nice.
End by Ali Hazelwood. First and foremost, look at these spread edges. This
I
was the
know.
mass paperback. And there's some beautiful artwork in the cover. Ooh, ooh. The same price as the regular book. I was like, great, sign me up.
Wow.
Um, we all know I have a love-hate relationship with Ali Hazelwood.
Don't we
Mostly,
all?
but here's the thing. I'm gonna still read her books. And that's the hate part. Is I hate myself because I'm gonna still read her books. This book, I feel like I read Love Theoretically uh last December, not the December that just happened, the December before.
Got it.
And I loved it. I loved it. I was like, oh yes, 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 this is her best book. And I feel like I've been chasing that high since. And spoiler, this did not meet that high. I this book was okay.
Mm.
Uh, this story follows Scarlett and Luke. So Scarlett is a diver, competitive diver, and she has this horrific accident when she's doing an inward dive, and she gets really injured. And so this is the beginning of the book is her coming back from her injury and trying to compete again to get to the Olympics. Um, we find out that she is into the kink side of things a little bit. And one of her friends is like really drunk at a party and is like, oh, you should have sex with my boyfriend because he's also into that stuff. And she's like, okay. And so becomes this long story of this will they, won't they. This couple breaks up so that there's opportunity that the Luke and Scarlett could be together. But the undertone of it is kind of her learning how to trust herself again, how to do the sport that she loves after coming back from this injury. And so there's little snippets where she's with a therapist talking about it. It just felt very disjointed, this book. I didn't love it in the way that a lot of Ali Hazelwood's books, because they are rooted in reality, but they have a little bit of whimsy to them. And you're like, okay, it's like tee hee hee. Like
Hmm.
you're this girl in STEM, but like there's this really cute boy. Tee-tee. This just felt like she was trying to be really dark and broody,
Mm.
which I don't know is a vibe I like so much for her. Like she was dark and broody in Bride, and I didn't mind Bride.
Yeah.
This it just felt like a missed opportunity. I don't know. I didn't.
Mm.
It was fine. It was fine. I'll keep it because it's beautiful. Like the book itself is a beautiful book.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I just was like, okay, Miss Thing is just putting out anything at this point. But that's what it feels like a little bit.
Yeah. You're
And I
not
love
wrong.
her. I love her. And you know what? I finally went back and read Love on the Brain after
Mm.
famously saying I would never read it because I didn't get an arc for it. And I was really butthurt about that. I did eventually go back and read it. And I actually really did like it once you
Mm.
got past the really cringy Marie Curie. What would Marie Curie do? Do you remember that?
I didn't read it.
So there's this whole thing where she's like, I love Marie Curie. What would she do? Uh, like kind of like the what would Jesus do thing, being like, what would Marie Curie do in this situation? And I thought it was
Uh-huh.
so cringy. I couldn't get past the first page. So I just skipped any of the parts that had Marie Curie in it. Because I just thought it was really cringy. So it was good once I got past that. But if you're looking for an Allie Hazelwood book, read Love Theoretically or Check and Mate, her YA chess one.
People love that one.
That one is really good. That one's really fun. That one's really good. Um, maybe skip Deep End. Maybe skip it.
I feel similarly.
You read it?
Yeah.
I didn't know you read it.
Yes. Yeah. I listened to the audiobook.
It's
It's
pretty
fine.
mid.
It was fine. It was a book that I read and I'm not mad that I read it, but I also won't go back and reread it.
No,
That's
it's pretty.
that's about it.
It's pretty. It also just the pacing of it felt weird.
I
It
agree.
felt like really rushed, and then I also didn't care about the couple at all. I don't know. I think this book could have gone through some editing and would have made it a stronger book.
I agree.
Anyway, that's that.
That's that. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We will have a document available with all of the books that we talked about so that you can look at it instead of just listening to us list off books.
You're gonna
I have
drive
a
and you're writing
feeling
it down.
right. I have a feeling we will also probably have them in the description box of the YouTube video.
That seems
Seems like
fair.
an easy place to list them.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening. If you did, we really recommend you going over to our Instagram page and letting us know that you listened to this episode. You can go ahead and leave us the birthday cake
Happy
emoji,
birthday.
even though it is months past both of our birthdays, but
Sure is.
it's never too late to wish somebody happy birthday.
We're celebrating our 30th year.
We're celebrating our 30th year. I do have to keep reminding myself that I am 30.
I
Do
know, me
you?
too, dude. People are like, yeah, people will make comments where they're like, "Oh, you're." I'm like, "I'm so old." They're like, "What? You're not. You're not 30." I'm like,
I am 30.
30.
30. 30. You can also, depending on how you listened or watched this episode, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on all the places that you can get your podcasts. Maybe you want to go ahead and leave us a little review. It really helps on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you leave us a review and subscribe. So go ahead, help us out. If you're on YouTube, give us that thumbs up and leave us a little comment. You could also leave us the birthday cake emoji on YouTube. Why not? And you can follow me and Danielle on our own personal channels if you want to stay up to date with what we are doing between episodes. I am at Deirdre Rose Morgan on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Bindery. Well, I'm Enchanted Echoes on Bindery, but you get the idea.
And I'm DJ Books on TikTok and on Instagram. And I'm not using Pinterest anymore because of that AI stuff that's going on. I will not be
I
using
know.
it.
I
Crazy.
know. Yeah.
Scratch it from the record.
Thank you so much for watching.
Sorry.
Thank you so much for watching. We will catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.